He had seen Night at the Opera and, Duck Soup and all these movies maybe 50 times. Never ever realizing that you would ever actually meet these guys, But when I went to Hollywood the first time, when the band first went to Hollywood to, be big rock stars, we walked down Hollywood Boulevard. And you'd see all the stars, and the thing, and we just, and every once in a while you'd run into Larry Fine, from the Three Stooges, and you go, it's Larry. And, maybe other people were not impressed with that. We were way impressed with one of the Stooges, or you'd see Leo Gorski from our gang, not our gang, but the Bowery Boys. And then the idea of meeting Groucho would have been beyond anybody's belief.
It was so good. You bet your life on in your household.
Oh yeah. And I remember the famous line, that Groucho had that he got thrown off for. He was interviewing the lady, and he says, "How many children do you have?" And she says, 14. And he says, "I like my cigar too, but I take it out once in a while." And nobody said anything. Everybody laughed. And then 2 nights later, he was off the air because the guys at the station didn't get it for like about 2 days, and finally they went, "Hey, you can't say that in 1954 on television."
Shep, you met Groucho before Alice, is that correct?
No,
exactly. Okay. And what was your first encounter?
My first encounter was when Alice called me up yesterday to come up to Groucho's house. And I was really nervous. We were both very young. I was going to meet Groucho Marx. Oh my God. And I get taken into the house and walked into the bedroom. And in the bedroom is Groucho with Mickey Mouse ears on, lying in bed, and Alice with the drink lying next to him in bed. It was like, wait a second.
Well, this is the story behind that. Groucho was an insomniac. He couldn't sleep at night, and he would call me at 2 in the morning, and he'd go, "Alice, I can't sleep, come over." I said, "Okay." So I'd go over there. He had a 6-pack of beer there, an old television, a beret, and whatever he was wearing, a Mickey Mouse hat. And we would sit and watch old movies until he went to sleep, and then I would put his cigar out and I'd leave. But he'd be sitting there, there'd be a cowboy on there, he'd be doing the stuff, and he'd say, "See that guy there?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "He's gay." I said, "He's not gay. He's talking about this, blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "No, he's gay." Or he'd see this famous movie star, and I'd say, "Wow, she's really great." He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Chico and Harpo both nailed her." I said, "No, they didn't." He goes, "Yeah." So, all these inside stories on all these people, and some of it I didn't want to know. I went, "Really?" But Shep was there for other reasons.
And so Alice asked me to come up, and they were lying in bed together, and then the next day he called me up and said, "If you notice, there wasn't a nurse. Groucho can't afford the second shift of nurses. Can you try and help put his business together?" So I got involved for a few years and got the TV show back on the air. But Alice and him had the most amazing relationship. It was, Groucho had the greatest one-liners for me. He used to, we'd be in a room, be in a meeting with someone. Meeting would start, and he'd look at me, and he'd look weird, take his glasses off, put them back on. He'd go to the guy next to him, and he'd go, "Is that Shep, my manager?" And, "Yeah, Groucho, that's your manager, Shep." "Funny, I don't look like a crook."
He'd say, "Shep, it's been 10 minutes, sue somebody." But, the great thing about Groucho was that he was sharp as a tack. I mean, 86 years old, I took him for his birthday to the Polo Lounge. And this is when you didn't mention drugs in LA. And of course, that's what Groucho would do, He would sit there and he'd have his menu, and he'd say, "What kind of drugs do you have?" Of course, if you said don't do that, he would do it twice as loud. "What drugs? What kind of drugs do you have?" And then he'd say, "Alice, excuse me, I gotta get up and insult the Major D." He'd go over and say, "Somebody, you see the Major D?" Look back at me, still got it.
So you first met him when someone brought him to your concert.
Yeah, he was curious. He had seen pictures of Alice Cooper and came to the concert, and what he saw was, to him, vaudeville. He saw this rock and roll, but he saw the guillotine, he saw the snake, he saw all this stuff going on stage, and he related it to vaudeville, because that's where he came from, was vaudeville. And he would bring George Burns, and then he would bring Mae West, and Fred Astaire, Jack Benny, all these people that were brought up in vaudeville were looking at our show, and they were not shocked in the least bit. Whereas the audience was, oh, you know, and these guys on the side were going, you know, George Burns was going, yeah, 1923, Gracie and I, we were in Toledo, we died with a guillotine like that. Except when it cut his head off, doves came out.
Vaudeville is not just comedy acts and singing, it's bears on stage. And what is Swain's Rats and Cats? Do you recall the vaudeville act that Groucho liked so much?
Oh, yeah. Okay, there were so many weird acts back then. You know, the dog acts and, I mean, you know, contortionists and people like, of course, he was drawn to anything that was unusual and funny in a dark way, you know. So when he saw us, he was totally, you know, that got his attention. And in the paper, he said, Alice is the last hope for vaudeville. To me, that was one of the great compliments I ever got in my life, you know, because Groucho said it. If anybody else would have said it, I would have gone, oh, yeah. But with Groucho saying that, that's kind of a stamp of approval.
Is there a sense of anarchy? Was that an influence on you and your music and the way that you put on a show, a live show?
He was totally subversive. He was totally subversive. Anything that was of the, in Hollywood, anything that had to do with establishment, he would attack it. That was his satirical meat right there. Another odd thing was, at his house, if you had dinner at his house, you had to perform after dinner. He would have Marvin Hamlish at piano, or Bud Cort at piano, or Jeff Bridges on guitar. And if you were a singer, you couldn't sing, you had to dance. If you were a dancer, you couldn't, you weren't allowed to do what you normally do. So but that was an old tradition at the Marx Brothers house, that after dinner, everybody got up and performed. So it was really kind of really neat that you know, I would have to, Shep would get up and he would read contracts.
He'd always cut me off after like 4 words. I go, where to 4? Groucho, like, get out of here.